And we're now live. We're here to talk about the movie It's a Wonderful Life. We'll make this announcement tomorrow night. Special Christmas Eve NFL picks live stream with Value Vinyl Steve at 9 o'clock. So we normally, we have been going Saturday nights, but the NFL's playing on Saturday nights, so we moved it to Friday. But this week it will be Thursday. So
is that because you're playing in the NFL game, Dale?
We're picking them, and we like to pick them before they actually play them.
Oh, I thought you were a linebacker.
Oh well, that I wish I was tough enough for that. Just because I'm maybe the size of a linebacker doesn't mean that I have the muscular. I don't know. I don't want to take the hit. And I'm not going to be given any big hits. So we've got Mandy. Would you like to kick off It's a Wonderful Life?
What do you want?
Or would you like to introduce your husband, since this is his first time on the live stream?
You can introduce him. Go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
I do too.
Well, all I would say is tonight our special guest is Mandy's husband, and let's see if I can remember this. Inductee into the Kentucky Film and Television Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
producer, director, actor.
Yep. So many projects going.
Being my husband.
Do what?
He's most famous for being my husband.
Okay.
That's at the top of my resume.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should have had you put that, Mandy's husband, in your little name box.
You're right. I should have.
But all right. So now we'll let Mandy kick off the film.
Okay. Did you take any notes?
Oh yeah, I took some notes. I'll admit I missed the first couple of scenes.
What?
So it starts.
No, I didn't. I watched the first couple of scenes, but I didn't think to take notes until we got to the family table.
Okay, it starts out where you hear people praying for George.
Yes. And
then the angels hop on it, and they're
right.
shoot everybody down.
Well, now were those angels or stars?
Those are angels. Because Clarence is an angel who comes down, but with the special effects of that time period, they use stars.
Yeah. So
the Bible says that it's the same thing. Move on.
The Bible says, what book was that?
Book of Clarence.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's probably in the Apocrypha.
So they decide to send Angel Clarence down so he can earn his wings.
We knew an angel named Clarence once, didn't we?
Oh my God. I'm trying to stay on track, but I was thinking about that when they first said his name. Oh my God. I still have notes and stuff from him.
Yes.
I'll tell you about that
great
later.
Christmas memories. Yeah. Like when he sent the Christmas card.
Yes. Cool. Do you remember when he came into my office and he broke my Steve Carell bobblehead? Oh
no, I think I remember that a little bit. Because
yeah. That was our Clarence.
I'm sorry, I've diverted us right off the bat.
I was just thinking, what scene in the movie was that?
4 minutes in and we're off track already.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm sure you've told Vin stories about our buddy Clarence.
I haven't, but I
know.
Because he was something.
Yeah, he was special.
Yes, special.
All right, so then isn't the kind of the first human scene the one where they're sledding on shovels?
Yes,
it goes back to his childhood
in 1919.
1919.
Mm-hmm. How old were you in 1919, Dale? 8, 9.
Yeah.
Okay, so then his little
Wait
brother.
Wait a minute. We've got Ben in here, and I'm still taking the old people jokes.
Then it's not a day over 42.
Not at all.
Okay.
Turned 42 in November.
All right.
So then you kind of meet all of his little childhood friends going down on the sled, doing that hee-haw thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I didn't like. And then his little brother Harry falls in the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he rescues him.
Yeah. And starts setting up how important this kid is. He's done some important things early on in his life.
And it's the first time you hear, or it's why he lost his hearing. George.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the second scene, we see why he lost it, probably permanently.
Yes.
So we go from there to him and his buddies walking down the street and walking him to his job.
Yes.
And when he gets to his job, we find that he's got a couple of female admirers. Yes.
Violet. And then that's also where you first hear about how he wants to travel. He's got that National Geographic subscription and all that.
Right.
From a script point of view, they do a great job of setting up everything in the movie within a very short amount of time. It's a great screenplay.
So it is Mary that's in that scene with Violet at the
Mary Hatch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
she tells him she will love him her whole life.
Yeah.
I thought that was Violet who whispered in his bad ear.
No, that was Mary.
No, that was Mary. Violet was the one who kind of waltzed in and got the shoestring, whatever the shoestrings were.
Okay, so I had the girls confused then. I thought it was Violet who was sitting there eating the chocolate ice cream with coconut.
No, that was Mary.
That was Mary. So it sets up both of them very well because Mary says she'll love him her whole life. And Mary says to Violet, you like all the boys. And Violet says, what's wrong with that? So immediately we have the characters that both of them are going to be in the future set up with just a couple of lines. That's great writing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like that those particular scenes. And I think my favorite part was where he was bragging about having the National Geographic because he was he had the invitation to become part of the society.
And where else can you get 2-cent candy? Candy's a whole jar of candy for 2 cents.
Well,
tell us, Dale. Where else could you get it?
I have no idea.
Well, back in 1919, Dale, when you were young, how much did you pay then?
Streets of Danville. How much did you pay for candy?
I can't remember. It's been so long ago.
Understandably.
Right. So then you see he gets a glimpse of the I guess it was a telegram.
Yes.
I don't know what those things are called.
And he's kind of noticed that the owner is distraught when he comes in.
Yeah. And the telegram says that the boss's son had died.
Right. And then he goes back and notices that he's got the wrong bottle trying to do medication.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is great because if you're mixing medications, you really want a big open jar of poison right there with the big label saying poison.
Yeah, I don't know how often did pharmacists back then have to use poison. That did seem a little odd. And then he can't just think to go see his dad. He needed a billboard.
Oh yeah, it says "See Dad."
Yeah, and of course that's when we find out the business that his father's in.
And that he's fighting with Potter already.
Yeah. And I'll say this: Potter was he was a great villain, because it wasn't very hard to dislike the man.
Yeah.
That was Lionel Barrymore, who was one of the most respected actors of that time. He was a big stage actor, but he's also Drew Barrymore's grandfather, I believe.
Yeah.
Or great grandfather.
Playing Potter.
Yeah.
Now, did he typically play villains?
He played a little bit of everything, but you notice because he was from the older school, his acting was very formula, very presentational, lots of mugging for the camera, and watch by comparison Jimmy Stewart's acting, where he did a lot of throwaway lines and just seems a lot more comfortable. It was a good transition between the two.
Yeah.
Part of why I love the movie.
Yeah. And so then we come back, and
he didn't deliver the pills, so he goes back to work.
Right, and that's really a very gripping scene, because it's not often, especially, I would even argue even today, it's rarely that you see a kid get roughed up by an adult quite that way on screen.
To the point where his ear was bleeding.
Yeah. And but then when he realized what he did, it made it that much more powerful, and realized that kid really saved him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a very powerful scene, and that was a credit to the kid, because he wouldn't get much more screen time, because it's from there that we almost immediately go to Jimmy as
an adult.
As an adult. What were your impressions on kind of did the violence in there kind of raise eyebrows or anything for you watching it, or?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm pro beating children. No, yeah, it was good. It was a good scene.
I didn't know. It just kind of shocked me a little bit. Like I said, I don't even think today we really show. It's very rare that you see kids.
Yeah. That kid was good too. Is he the same kid who plays his son at the end of the movie? His older son?
I don't know. He isn't.
No.
Totally different character.
Yeah.
But it does show you the difference in time period. 1946, kids working in a pharmacy, kids working the cash registers, young girls just walking the streets, alone. Everybody's comfortable. It's a small town. It's a lot of things that wouldn't happen today.
Oh yeah,
you wouldn't feel as comfortable. But at the time, it was fine.
Yeah, and I guess the small town doesn't really. I can transition my mind back to kind of how things are, and forget about how, like things are here in Louisville, because I grew up in a smaller town.
In 1919, right?
Yeah, 1919. But even in the 1980s,
when you were a grown man.
Yeah, the lifestyle in Danville is, I would surmise that it would be quite the same now. It's just not, you don't have the same worries in Danville that you do here, and it's kind of nice that way. So from there, okay, so we're now with Jimmy. What is his character's name off the top of my head? I'm blanking.
George Bailey.
George Bailey, yes. So George is talking to the guy about a suitcase, and gets the enormous suitcase that's already got his name on it. We find out that was a gift from the pharmacist, which was kind of sweet. and he's still thinking about getting out of there. But
No, he's getting out of there. He's planning to leave tomorrow, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, how old is he supposed to be in this movie?
At that point, it was 4 years after he graduated from high school. So Harry went to college in his place.
Well, he looks way old, too old to be going to college.
Well, he was in real life at that time, but yeah,
Why
he's supposed to be 28.
Like his voice is weird in all of his movies. I mean, I like it, but it's weird. I don't know how to describe it.
Distinctive.
He talks,
Yeah.
weird.
So I guess once we leave the drugstore, then that's when we're I can't remember where George is going, but they run into Violet again.
Yeah, he's actually going back home to have dinner with Mom and Dad before Harry's graduation party.
Yeah, and we get to see the reaction that most men have to Violet, which I thought was kind of amusing.
One of the things I love about this movie and why it's so good from an industry point of view is the amount of stage business. In every single scene, Frank Capra really did a lot of stuff that really wasn't in the original script. He just added a little stage business. If you watch it again and again, you'll pick up all these things that these characters are doing. Just little fun things that he's thrown in. And you know that they were improvised on the set. And the actors just had so much fun doing it, and it's fun to watch. And I've watched the movie probably every year since I was a teenager, and you can still pick up little things here and there. It's pretty cool.
Wonder how many of the lines were ad-libbed.
I just found out in the trivia thing that when he kisses the woman who only asked for $17.50, both the kiss and her line were ad-libbed. When there's a run on the building and loan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. But there was some really clever. There was really some clever dialogue, and like when they ran into Violet, and it was real crisp too. So it was kind of like the taxi guy saying, "Wouldn't you like to?" And Jimmy Stewart just says, "Yes, I would." So we leave Violet, and that's when he gets back to the house, and we meet his little brother. Well, he and his little brother are coming in, right?
They're getting ready for the graduation.
They're having dinner.
And that's the moment when you see the dad explain all about the business and loan. And again, we reinforce that George doesn't want to stay in town. He doesn't really like the business, the building and loan, just doing it for the father. So all these themes just sort of pick up pretty quickly.
And we've got the plan that he's got that he plans on going to school and then coming back and running it while Sam, is that the brother?
No, he already had ran it for the 4 years.
Oh, okay.
And
the younger brother was going to run it while he could go to school.
Yes.
And so we've got the plan in place, and but we get to meet the family kind of as a whole as adults, because I guess isn't this kind of the first time we're seeing the brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
Mom and Dad, and I like the interaction with George and the maid. That was funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's good.
But now when his brother chased the maid into the kitchen, I thought, boy, that was a little weird. Yeah. That might not swing today.
I thought it was funny how he was talking to her when she kept eavesdropping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was some pretty funny stuff.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think a lot of that probably was in the original script. I think that was stuff that they just sort of either the director or the actors just sort of played with as they're going along, and it's in virtually every scene. It's a lot of fun.
And then, all right, so this is where my notes are finally starting to pick up a little bit here.
Notes, okay.
And then we went to the from there to the party.
Yes, Harry's graduation party.
Yeah, and we're kind of seeing the dynamics. We see George get to see Mary again for the first time, and I think he really saw Mary this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In that beautiful 1940s way, 1930s, 1940s way, what they used to do with the female stars is that they would use the soft focus and extra light, so they always sort of glowed. And when we first see Mary, you'll see that it's a soft focus and glow on her.
And then, so we get to see some of the dancing and that, and then what I thought was kind of, I don't know, kind of struck me as odd for a movie from that time period that they would happen to be dancing on a floor in a small town that would open up to a pool.
Mm-hmm. Which, if I remember correctly, was actually filmed at Beverly Hills High School. And that was a real floor gym over a pool.
Oh, okay. But would it have been something that we would have found in a small town? Like
probably not, but it also
probably a little bit of a stretch, but it made for a great visual.
Sure, and it emphasized the fact where the principal said that George invented that or suggested it. So we get to see that he is an engineer or an architect.
Oh, okay. I missed that part. Okay.
I did too. I think he just made that up.
Could be,
and then,
but it's in there.
But it made for a great visual as they kept dancing and looked like they were unaware of the edge of the pool.
Yeah.
And then as everybody, they fall in and everybody joins them.
Mm-hmm.
A great visual. I feel like we're talking and Mandy's not saying anything.
It's okay. I'm listening. So then it jumps straight to George walking Mary home.
Yes.
So they've done changed into some dry stuff. Now, how's she going to walk home in a robe?
Yeah. I thought for 1947, this was kind of an edgy little scene.
It was pretty racy.
Especially for, her losing the robe and then being in the bushes and him kind of walking around her.
Yeah,
I'm thinking,
not wanting to give it back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, this is 47? Really?
Yeah. Rapist. That's what I was thinking.
But I love that scene. I think the dialogue's really good. They set up some great stuff between. You can kind of see where their minds are in different places. Where he's thinking about the things that he wants to do and places he wants to go, and he definitely is not happy there. But I think at this point she's already made up her mind that she's perfectly content there and just wants to be with him.
Right. And they introduce the house, and we get to see that, like when she was a little girl, she said she'd love him all her life, and then she finds the house, and that's the house she wants to live with.
And they're throwing the rocks, making wishes. You break the glass, you make a wish.
And then the old dude, well, kiss her already.
And then I like the moon scene right there too, where he asked her if she wants the moon. That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Vin's never offered it to me ever. So
I offered you Mars and Jupiter.
Whatever.
What, Mars and Jupiter sound a little more even exotic than just the moon.
I want the moon. Damn it! Make it happen.
For Christmas.
Okay.
Is it because it's made of cheese and you're supposed to be on a keto diet?
It's supposed to be. Yes.
Okay. Well, then we'll.
And when he visits Mary later, she has that sign that she painted that says George lassos the moon. And what's great is he looked at it and goes, "Yeah, very funny."
Yeah.
Like, oh.
So yeah, the great scene. That all of a sudden gets shifted as he is warned that his dad is in peril.
In peril.
Well, yeah. And then we find out. Then I guess the next scene we kind of transition to is the
Dad's dead.
scene where they are meeting after his father has passed, and they're discussing the future of the building and loan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we've got a really great scene where you should want to punch Potter in the head, you know, making comments about this guy's dad who's just died, and always with these cutting underhand, you know, kind of backhanded insults that are, you know, just right underneath the surface, and you kind of see that while George may not have the same desire or goals that his dad did, that he very much respected the path that his father took.
Yeah, if you remember in the early scene when he went to ask his dad for advice as a boy, he stood up to Potter then and defended his dad.
Oh yeah.
And then they do it again here after his dad is dead, and he's the only one that'll stand up to Potter again.
Yeah. And yeah, but again, brilliant work between the two,
Mm-hmm.
because you really kind of feel. I mean, it at this point, this film is really making you feel something between the two of them,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just wondering what that look is for.
Brandy's crawling below me, plugging in a charger because my phone's getting ready to die. Because I'm so very prepared for this.
So,
You have an amazing technical crew on this show.
So professional.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anything in that scene that I'm missing about it, other than the tension really kind of growing between these two?
Not really, other than how much the all the other board members liked how George ran things and took control.
Yeah.
It emphasizes again that George is the only person in town who will stand up to Potter.
Right.
And that's why they say that they'll keep the building and loan alive if he runs it.
Right. Which, of course, builds his frustration as well, and kind of sets the table for kind of his disillusionment with where the direction he's going, and
well, that's when he gives all of his money to Harry to let Harry go on and go to college.
Yeah, and then we meet up with Harry and his new bride at the train station, and
which is 4 years later.
Yeah.
Surprise, he has a wife.
Yeah, and then he finds out that his brother has gotten a job somewhere else, so he won't be taken over. So he's still stuck in that same position. And
he does make the choice, though. The brother says that he didn't accept the job. He's going to grudgingly take over the building and loan so George can go away. And George, again, being the selfless guy that he is, realizes it's a better deal for Harry. And he stays.
So he continues to make good decisions for others. And
they have a big engagement party for Harry.
Yeah, and that's a great scene because it really not connected with the mother that much until that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good scene.
Yes, mom tells George that Mary's back and is trying to push Mary on him.
Yeah,
and sends him out walking, and then he kisses his mom all romantically. Did anybody else see that?
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Frank
If
Capra
Dale, if
was
Dale was more professional, he could pull up the footage right now, but he's not. Yes, he does.
Frank Capra was Italian. Italians. He was the director. He modeled a lot of this after his own family, and he says that Italians are just more affectionate people.
Right. Just different culture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would not have kissed my mother like that.
In 1919, you wouldn't have?
And not in 1919, not in 1989, not in...
Okay.
I'm watching my cats as they get ready to create all sorts of trouble over here. They're acting like Jake's behind the monitor. I don't know what they're getting ready to do. Some sort of mutiny, I guess. Anyway, so then he goes walking and, of course, runs into Violet. And trying to remember, because there were a couple conversations.
Oh, he tries to. Violet wants to go running around with him, and so he tells Violet his wild fantasy about hiking barefoot through grass or something like that, and she don't want nothing to do with it.
Do you think that he really wanted to do that with her, or he wanted to show her that they weren't really compatible?
He just wanted to express his frustration and just sort of blurted something out, not necessarily with her. He just wanted to talk about being free and getting away, and she just shot him down.
Well,
I don't think he was ever really interested in Violet.
No, and I think that was kind of pointing out the kind of high maintenance of Violet. Yeah, they didn't connect too well, and then he ends up going to Mary's, which he'd kind of purposely gone in the other direction, but then he ends up at Mary's. And what's funny is, because he's frustrated, he's in such a bad mood when he goes to see her.
Yeah.
And of course that leads to a very awkward scene because she's excited that he's there.
We also got to rewind back to where he tells his mom that he doesn't want to see her because she's with Sam
Wainwright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when he does come in and they're in there talking, it's like when she shows him that artwork of him lassoing the moon.
And she plays that song that they were singing that night.
Yeah.
We're in the pool.
Yeah.
And my notes right here say, "Oh my God, Dale. Tell us why, Dale."
You do not handle records that way. I thought Mary was adorable. I thought she was beautiful, but that would have been a deal breaker for me. That would have been a deal breaker. You can't do that to a record. Come on now.
So in the middle of this beautiful romantic scene, you were more worried about the record.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
and that's what my notes say is Mary cracks a record. Oh my God, Dale.
And what really kind of would stress me out is if I thought about if they didn't get it on the first take, that means that she probably broke several records to get that scene.
Reckless.
And do you know what those records would be worth, or what great records they would be today?
So then the phone starts ringing, and it's Sam calling Mary.
Oh yeah,
mm-hmm.
And that was an interesting scene.
Yeah, Mary pretends that she's happy, just to make George jealous, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, well, but we skipped kind of the dialogue that I thought was a little racy for that period of time. Too, was when they were on the couch and mom's yelling down, "Who is that?" And she says, "It's George, and he's making violent love to me," or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, 1947, really?
Yeah, but back then, making love was just euphemism for he was courting her.
Okay.
It didn't mean, what we mean today.
Yeah. So I thought that kind of got my attention. And so then they're on the phone together, and I guess proximity of their faces kind of gets each other's attention. But not really. Well, yeah, it did kind of change George's mood, didn't it?
Yeah, but when they show Sam in that scene where he's on the phone on the other end, he's got a girl all over him on the other end while he's on the phone with Mary.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else noticed that.
And he says while he's with the other girl, he says, "Hey George, you trying to steal my girl?"
Yeah. So we're not really setting Sam up great, are we?
Yeah.
But another bit of trivia. Jimmy Stewart went to war before this movie was made. This was his first big movie after he came back, and he was a war hero, but went through a lot of PTSD. He was a pilot, and a lot of his friends were shot down. They tried to make him just sell war bonds because he was a big thing, but a big star. But he said no, he wanted to get into the war. But he came back pretty messed up, and this was his first movie. And he was worried about kissing her, kissing anybody in the scene. He wasn't sure if he could emotionally handle it. And they shot that scene in one take. And actually, it was really beautifully done.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah. His military service came up more than once in his career because one of the fascinating things I read about the movie, the one he did with John Wayne, Liberty Valance, was that the director Glenn Ford kept hanging the fact, because John Wayne's this big mythical hero type guy, but it was Stewart who was the military veteran.
Right.
And Ford would just kind of, I don't know why he would do it, but he would just kind of mess with Wayne, reminding him that Stewart was the veteran of the two. And it just seemed like it was, I thought Ford and Wayne made so many good movies together. Why would you irritate a guy that's made you so much money?
I think he wanted that on-screen tension.
Really?
As they went through the thing. It was sort of a pretty manipulative way to go, but especially with Jimmy Stewart having PTSD, which of course they called, back shell shock back then. But that's what they did.
I mean, it sounds like I need to read a good biography on Jimmy Stewart because I didn't
Amazing,
realize. Yeah, I didn't realize he suffered from PTSD like that. Wow. All right, so that explains kind of the tension and uncomfortableness of that close-up scene that he was having with her. But yet it did end with a kiss.
Mm-hmm. And they fell in love.
Yeah, it jumped straight from that to they got married.
Yeah. And that really was just kind of a scene, kind of a filler scene. I don't remember anything in depth happening there. And then
they're heading out to their honeymoon.
And they're in the taxi.
Yeah.
And
with all the savings.
Yeah. And they're kind of celebrating when they pass by the
run on the
bank.
Talk about traveling again, all the places he's going to go.
Yeah.
That they're going to go. Yeah.
Yeah, but he ends up getting sucked into that bank again and having a kind of, I thought that was a cool scene though, the way he handled everything in that scene. And Mary didn't have a big part in it, but still had an impactful because you could just.
Well, she's the one who started handing out the money first.
Right. But that made her support of of George made
Yeah.
her more endearing. And so yeah, when the notion that the money would help George avert this particular crisis, because we also have a scene. Did we have a scene in there where he was talking to Potter and Potter said something about if you close before 6 o'clock, you'll never open again?
Yes.
And so, crisis averted thanks to Mary's quick thinking. And then there's a nice little bit about newlywed George getting confused between his mother and his wife because she had his last name.
Oh yeah, Mrs. Bailey's on the phone.
Yeah.
Or no, he says get Mrs. Bailey on the phone, something like that.
Yeah. So, but all that that was a wonderful scene, I thought.
Mhm.
And again, look for all the stage business going on there. It's really amazing. And that came so close after the Depression, when so many banks did go under and they didn't have the FDIC. And if you didn't get your money out of the bank in time, you lost everything. So that was fresh in people's minds.
Oh yeah.
I'm unhappy with my chair and I'm changing. Bear with me.
Okay. Let's see where we're.
And then they're going, since their honeymoon was gone, she invites him to the Waldorf Astoria.
Oh yeah.
Which is the house she always wanted, the house she broke the window in.
Yeah.
But now their estate.
Yeah. And we've got the side characters trying to put up posters from around the world. And
Mary
she's
tells
fixed
him
up.
that's what she wished for when they threw the rocks.
Yeah. And she's fixed it up the best she could.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
I know I'm making this show longer with trivia, but you know the fun thing about the cop and the taxi driver?
Bert and Ernie.
Bert and Ernie, that they named the Sesame Street characters after.
I didn't catch that till later in the movie. But did they actually name the?
Yes, Jim Henson said he named the characters after those two in the movie.
Oh wow! Well, that's interesting. I didn't notice it until late in the movie, but then I thought, wow, okay, that's funny. Now, I don't. Let's see.
George
Did I?
Bailey Park.
There was a sight gag that I tried to make a note of. I guess it doesn't come until later. I'll hang on to that because it doesn't come until later when we're in there with the family.
Okay, well, you see that George opens up Bailey Park, and then you see that Bailey Park is taking a toll on Potter's houses.
Mm-hmm.
So Potter offers George a job.
Right.
Well
played and a well acted scene. I really thought Stewart was pretty brilliant in wrestling with the temptation to take that job. In fact, I wondered what was going on. I thought, especially when they were shaking hands and Stewart pulls his back, and it's like, all right, well, you better say something because you're not going to, you can't just look at your hand like that and not say anything, just play it off. I mean, and then that's when he told Potter off. Again,
great stage business, just looking at his hand like this guy's too slimy to get in business with.
Right. And, but that had to be a real temptation to set himself up and to become financially secure and to be able to do more and have some freedom that more money would allow.
Mm-hmm. $20,000 a year, which in modern times would be the equivalent of $320,000 a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Times certainly have changed.
That's what you're paying Mandy for this show, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that it?
maybe 20 cents an episode. I can afford that because we rake in so much money on this show. Anyway, so great scene, and with Potter, being the slimy as he is, and just being a great villain, and then of course the contrast, which sets up, and again, it's all setting up stuff that's coming up in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mary's pregnant.
oh yeah, so he goes back to the house, and again, she subtly lets him know that she's pregnant, and
she fixes the house up, and then boom, she has 3 more kids.
Wow.
And then
So
that was all kind of fast.
yeah. So have we seen them in the house with the kids yet?
According to my notes, no, but probably.
Right after that whole thing, I think the angels come back in and say, okay, now this is where things start to go bad.
Yeah.
And then
well, I'm not sure about that. I don't think the angels come back in until Uncle Billy loses the money, which is coming up right after Harry leaves for war. And then Uncle Billy's supposed to, y'all aren't saying anything. Am I not coming through?
No. I'm still trying to place the sight gag.
Okay. Harry goes to war. They figure out he's a war hero.
Yeah.
And then the uncle goes to deposit the money. He's all excited. He's got the news. Harry's in the newspaper for being a hero. So he goes to deposit the money. He runs into Potter and accidentally puts the money in the newspaper that Potter has, showing Potter that Harry was a hero.
Right. And so again, setting up just what a worthless scumbag Potter is.
Mm-hmm.
Is he in a wheelchair?
No.
Are you sure? I feel like he's in a wheelchair. Potter? Wasn't somebody pushing him?
I thought somebody was pushing him too.
Oh, that's right. He is. Actually, he is.
I just wanted to point out that Dale's calling this poor, handicapped man worthless, but go ahead.
Well, when you
feel free to write in with your criticism of Dale.
Yeah. Well, when you take $8,000 that doesn't belong to you, which in that
equivalent of $115,123. I looked it up last night.
He made that.
Yeah. That's a lot of money to steal.
Yeah. And Potter wins. Not only do they lose the money, Potter gets the money and keeps it.
Right. So, that just if you don't hate Potter by then, I don't know what it's going to take for you to hate Potter.
Mm-hmm.
And so we start to see the unraveling of George because they're getting audited at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And they realize somebody's going to prison. Possibly.
Not going to be George.
Well, but I think George says that, but he always takes responsibility. And
when he goes back to Potter to ask Potter for money, he says that he lost the money. He's taking the blame. So even though he says originally, I'm not going to be the one going to jail, in the end, he turns into George and he'll be taking the blame again.
Right.
Well, before he goes to Potter, you get that whole scene where he's at home with the kids and he's getting upset and yelling at the kids.
Right.
Yeah. And see the sight gag that didn't escape me was with the banister.
Mm-hmm.
And that ball that kept coming off.
Did that remind
you? All I could think about was George just do what Chevy Chase did.
Chevy.
Huh? Chevy Chase did, and just take a chainsaw and saw that sucker right off.
which is why they did it in Vacation. They were making fun of this movie in that whole scene.
I wondered, and that was the other thing I wondered. Was that intentional? Because it did seem kind of random to me in Vacation that of all the things, why are you just going to saw this one particular?
John Hughes did that purposely in Vacation.
And
oh my goodness,
yeah, come on, Aretha, cameo.
So that's when George goes and asks Potter for help. And Potter puts it in his head that he's worth more dead than he is alive.
Yeah. Yeah, but here's the thing that I couldn't figure out was how is he going to commit suicide and still collect on the
I think back then they it wasn't I think they would have paid on it.
He could have accidentally fallen off a bridge
in the snow at night.
Yeah, I guess it'd be hard to prove that he deliberately did it. Well, unless you know that he was getting ready to go to jail for being massively in debt.
Well, he did. So he hasn't gone to kill himself yet. He goes to the bar and he says a prayer at the bar.
Right.
Which is a great scene. Oh, and by the way, that scene especially, he was really crying. He had almost a breakdown on set. This is where his PTSD really kicked in, and they were a little worried when they shot it. And when you see him crying with the tears, that you'll see that actually just comes out of his eye. That wasn't, something a makeup person put in.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he really broke down.
So this PTSD affect his entire film career?
This was one of the biggest things when he came back. This was his first movie after being a big star.
So it gradually get better as he kind of
absolutely
back.
Mm-hmm. And this movie actually helped him a lot.
Mm.
It was like the right themed movie for him.
Yeah, and of course, this is also setting up kind of the contrast between what he's doing right now and what's getting ready to come up, because in this, I'm wanting to say, it seemed to me they made it a point, like the bartender saying after he got punched, saying that this guy's not coming back anymore,
right?
And which of course is not what happened when after he and Clarence get together and visit the bar.
Can I throw in another piece of trivia?
Sure.
The bartender was Sheldon Leonard, who went on to be a famous director. He did the Dick Van Dyke Show, the Andy Griffith Show. He was the master of sitcoms there for a while back in the 60s and 70s. And it was one of his first things, playing a tough guy in It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, wow.
Have we had no comments tonight?
Boring people, is that it?
No, we've had comments. Guess what? I had them accidentally covered up.
Ah.
And I don't know who's still here, but let's look at a few comments.
An hour.
Whoops. Well, first, whoops to everybody who's been leaving us comments.
That's way back. Okay.
That's way back. So I hope Value Vinyl, if you're Steve, if you're still around, I hope we. Boy, it's always something on this live stream. Dang, Vin, I'm jealous of Grandma. Her stocking is twice the size of mine.
Because I love my grandma.
Mandy is the queen of decorating.
Pacing and setting up story and characters in a quick manner while not being forceful or full of exposition is a sign of a well-written movie.
He knows what he's talking about. Excellent.
This was a long time ago.
Right.
Beat them kids. That'll learn them. Is this the part where Jimmy Stewart takes his shirt off for Mandy?
I didn't see it. I mean, I did find a picture. I had to Google search it, but I've not seen it in a movie yet.
He also said Mars is freezing, hardly any atmosphere. Jupiter is just gas, not even solid to walk on. The gravity is 6 times that of Earth. So Mandy
Censor.
would be 1,200 pounds.
Censor
For
it
a
out.
crappy thing to offer. Huh?
Censor that out. Hate
And
Italians.
Italians more affectionate, and they talk with their hands, and they did not invent pizza or pasta.
Hey,
They're
as
too
a
big.
cold-blooded Sicilian, I'm going to have issues with this.
We're stolen from other cultures, Mamma Mia. And then Eric was in here.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Eric.
Yeah, let's see. Mandy's looks more like a court gesture. That's just fine. Fits her. All vinyl lives matter. Wow.
I cannot believe you have let the comments go this far.
I tell you what, I had them cut. It was where I was messing with the background, and I covered them up and didn't think let's see here. Talking about record abuse.
So we're back in that scene.
War is hell. Jimmy started seeing invisible rabbits. Words.
Good line. I like it.
Invisible rabbits were before, weren't they?
He's talking about Harvey. Oh,
I know. I'm trying to think when was Harvey?
I think Harvey was before.
Yeah.
Like that, Steve.
We are watching for your trivia, Vin. The other 2 schlubs are there to trigger your memories and thoughts.
I love this guy. I do.
Chevy Chase. Hey, Eric Weinbender was in here. Don't know if he's
Merry
still
Christmas,
in here
Eric.
or not. Merry Christmas. Everybody, remember that mistletoe is not an excuse for sexual assault.
Hold on. Let me tell you where that came from. That's a quote from The Office. God bless you, Eric Weinbender.
I am still here, and a bunch of my mind ramblings. I'm off work for 2 days. I'm going to make a one of everything, which is equal part Scotch.
I love him. I don't even know this guy. He's also from The Office.
Rum, gin, vermouth, and triple sec, plus 2 packs of Splendid.
Hit me again.
And then fight over food origins.
Okay.
And so I think they might be the 2 that are watching right now, because those are pretty recent comments. And
Okay.
I am sorry, guys. I have let you down. But
Eric, if you're still here, stay tuned until the end, because there's going to be a discussion over what our next review is going to be, and it's going to be The Office or I Quit.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now that I've gone through 50 comments, I have no idea where we're at in the movie.
We're about an hour in, and we're probably halfway through the movie.
I know where we're at. The teacher punches George. He leaves the bar, drives around drunk, and he hits the tree or whatever. And then he walks up on the bridge, and he's going to jump.
Yeah.
Started.
So that's when we get to see Clarence in human form.
Yeah. So of all the ways that you could save this guy from jumping off the bridge,
You
choose
jump
off the bridge and
make him
fall
jump
off?
off the bridge after you.
Yeah.
Because again, George would always not think of himself. The only way to distract George thinking of himself is for him to help someone else.
Yeah, I'm
But
thinking
if
I
it's
would
so
try to find the
dangerous
drier
that
way
you
to
kill
do it.
yourself. I don't know. It makes no sense.
Because he doesn't have to just stop George from killing himself. He has to convince George to never try again and to value his life.
Okay. So then they're up drying off. And that's when George tells the angel that he wishes he was never born.
And the guy playing the attendant or whatever did a great job of looking they're freaked out.
Again, great stage business, yeah, and great character faces.
Yeah. And
So the angel grants his wish of never being born again, and then he can magically hear out of his ear again.
yeah, and then we start now.
Then we get Twilight Zone-ish.
Yeah. How much you think of this might be a little bit of inspired too by Dickens' Christmas Story?
It had part of it, but the actual story comes from a New York Times story. I believe it was the New York Times. It was a story called "The Man Who Wasn't There,"
Okay.
and it was published, I think, in 1944. And then they used that as the basis for this. But yes, it has some Dickens thing to realize that it's spirit of Christmas, it's a wonderful life, that kind of feel. But when you think about it, this is one of the darkest Christmas movies ever. Because when you think about it, what does George win? All the other movies, someone gets something, they find their dreams, they get their thing. George never gets his dreams. He never gets to travel. He's still at the business building loan. His big win at the end is he doesn't go to jail. And yes, he has his family, which is wonderful. But Potter wins. Potter gets the money. George will still be broke, driving that broke down car, living in the broke down house, and he'll appreciate the family and his friends and everything like that. But when you compare that to other Christmas movies, there's no big win. There's no, magical thing in the end other than, okay, you didn't go to jail today.
Yeah.
Your friends bailed you out, which is great. But tomorrow, you're going to go back to that same thing. Hopefully he'll appreciate his family more. But I think he already did that in the beginning. But he'll still be stuck with Uncle Billy being totally inept. And he'll still be poor.
Yeah, but I think these little steps that he takes when he doesn't exist kind of are eye openers, like going back to the bar and not being respected, and not being appreciated, and being treated like just like an outsider, and then also watching. What was emotionally impactful to me was watching the pharmacist as
Mr. Howard,
and how brutal they were to him, how they treated him. Of course, George wasn't there to correct his mistake, so I guess he actually did kill that. Was it a lady that was looking for that?
It was for her son.
Oh, okay. So he did. There was no one there to catch his mistake, so I guess he killed that.
Right. As did Harry dies, as did all the boys on the all the men on the transport in World War II.
Yeah.
So he had a big impact. But the whole thing, when you look at it, George had big dreams, and this movie says, don't follow your dreams. Don't dream big. Appreciate what you have, which is a nice message too, but not necessarily the same dreaming big Christmas present. Even in Vacation, the guy gets his bonus.
But sometimes it really is more realistic, because I mean, a lot of people have big dreams. I had bigger dreams than what other dreams and life.
Bigger than this?
Huh?
Bigger than this show?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but sometimes life happens, and you've got to look at what you've got and appreciate what actually happened.
Right. Especially coming after World War II like this did. I think that was perfect for the time. This movie always chokes me up every year.
Now, Steve's making a point that the Rudolph was pretty dark. Social rejection, it always hit me hard. Sure, they accepted him at the end, but they had no choice at that point.
We watched that last night too, or bits and pieces of it.
They still hate you for being who you are. Run, Rudolph. Get away from those jerks. You deserve better.
But his friend, actually, the elf, does follow his dreams and become a dentist in Rudolph.
Rudolph should have slaughtered all those other reindeer and ate them. That's what should have happened. We need a
That's
remake.
Mandy's version of the sequel.
Remake.
Come to see it. Get your tickets today.
But all right. So, and did we have any other significant steps in there? There was a point where we see
Mary doesn't know him.
Mary doesn't know him.
Uncle Billy ends up in jail, in an insane asylum. Gower ends up in jail, and the drunk Martini loses his bar. Most of the people still in Pottersville.
Yeah, so say the whole place is called Pottersville instead of Bedford Falls.
Oh, and you know what's great? When they're showing Bedford Falls being bad, this terrible place, it's all like nightclubs and a dime a dance club, which I think is funny. Which again shows the 1940s mentality. It's just, ooh, dime a dance places.
Here's a little suggestion for you, Mandy. For a title.
Sure.
Greenlit sequel.
And you could serve venison in the concession stand when you show the movie.
Yes.
Tagline: Noses are not the only thing red this Christmas.
I love that.
Oh, wow.
And then the end. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, we just kind of slid by that.
She's ready to go tonight.
It's 9:06 still. It's over.
But we had that great scene where all of a sudden he's happy, even though he thinks he's going to jail. And then the neighbors come in, and I thought that was well, there were two scenes that we kind of missed. One was the scene where they moved that one family out of their old home into a new home.
That's Martini, who then opens the bar.
Right. And then at the end, of course, everybody showing their gratitude because they realized the impact that this business had made in them getting their own homes. And but you're right. I mean, there is no great victory.
No.
Except
that's what he runs up on the bridge, and that's the only thing he prays for is his wife and kids back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then of course he does open that book that Clarence left for him, which was
Mark Twain, Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, where he talks about with the great quote about men being rich who have many friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so an absolute classic. I will say that there were times when rewatching it that I thought, man, this doesn't feel very Christmassy.
No, it's dark. When you watch it again, look at it again. A couple of things. One, it is one of the most phenomenal screenplays because things move so quickly, and directing wise, it's really excellent. There's something in every scene. Just keep watching little things, like when they're in the hotel or when they're in the old house and it's raining, and the cop, the taxi driver has the hat on, leans his head. Water comes down, he pours it into his hand, just little bits of stuff like that. It's very clever. It's very choreographed and a lot of fun. You'll miss a lot of things like that. Potter has a skull on his desk.
Yeah.
Like that. Just fun.
And I love movies where they are conscious of, just every little detail in the movie and even add the little things that make you stay aware. One of your fellow inductees, Jim Varney, had one of the great scenes in one of his movies. I think it was Elvis or Ernest Goes to Jail, where they've got a bank scene with the security cops. You can see them. Mm-hmm. There's something else happening in the foreground, other dialogue, and then you see the security guards in the back practicing frisking each other. And it's just
Excellent.
one of those little side things that I don't know whose idea it was to throw it in there, but when you notice it, it's hysterical.
Do you know why this movie became a classic? Is that common knowledge? Well, it was a flop when it first came out. It bombed in the theaters, and Frank Capra said this was one of his favorites, but it did not do well. And actually, what happened was the studios forgot to renew the copyright. It was one of the few things. Someone made a bad mistake, and the copyright expired on the movie. So what happened was they started to show it on TV on all the stations because they could do it for free. All you had was a free copy. Or if you had a copy, you could show it. You didn't have to pay the producers. You didn't have to pay the actors, nothing. They were showing it for free. And all these stations, especially a lot of the local stations, would show it for free over and over and over again. And people got to realize this is actually a really good movie. But if they hadn't made that mistake, it wouldn't be known that well today. It would have disappeared. Finally, they did buy up the copyright again and renewed it. But for years, it played. Definitely, that's where people discovered it. And there was also a big fan club that started called Zuzu's Pedals that all the fans of the movie started to do. And now everybody in the movie is dead, but Zuzu was one of the last people alive.
Oh, wow. I got a couple more comments in here. Yeah, Eric, and I watched that video, and he had mentioned me because I had shown a Hulk record on this channel, and I just forgot to go back. I watched it while I was sitting on the couch. I forgot to go back and comment. So thank you, Eric, for coming in. I know you're saying it's family time. This movie, Due Date or Blues Brothers, which one is most likely to get an adult movie made out of it? We're not going down there to see if Dale will read it.
Nicely
Apparently,
done.
I have still not learned my lesson. Oh, wow. Of course, I thought I could trust certain people.
No.
Yeah, just love this movie. I don't think I watched it for the first time until a couple of years ago.
Me too.
And
First time I watched it was with Vin, actually, maybe 2 years ago.
I watch it every year. I cry every year. And I pick up new things watching it, So
this would be your number one Christmas movie?
Absolutely. Follow your dreams. Don't follow your dreams. Appreciate the people you have in your life.
Yeah.
But, it's a bittersweet thing, but it's beautifully done, and the romance is wonderful. The historical context, again, coming out of World War II, and then knowing what Jimmy Stewart did, and how it resonated in the lives of all those people, I think is really important.
Yeah, definitely. So where does this rank for you, Amanda? As I realize I'm looking at a screen and you can't actually see who I'm making eye contact with.
The cats. You're only looking at the cats. We know that.
But I was looking at you when I said that, Mandy. Where does this rank up for you? Is it?
I mean, it was a good movie. I liked it. If I never saw it again, I'd be okay.
Every year, honey. Every year.
Well, he can watch it in the living room, and I'll watch The Office in the bedroom. I mean, I don't know. It's not something I was going to pay to watch. In fact, I was happy that it was free on Prime, and we didn't have to pay for it.
Oh.
And so I guess you still have a Christmas Story ahead of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In Elf.
Definitely.
Which is your favorite of the two?
Christmas Story.
Yeah. So would Christmas Story be your number one?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
This is my number one. And then Christmas Story, Elf, and Rudolph.
Yeah.
What about
I'm
you?
not. I've been trying to think what. It's real hard. This one is really growing on me just because one, Jimmy Stewart, and his, anything that he acts in is just, yeah. He's just so good. And then yeah, it's got great writing. It's got a lot to it. But I like different movies for different reasons. I'm a big slapstick guy, so Christmas Vacation and Home Alone and Home Alone 2 get high points for that. And then I even like stupid, goofy movies. So obviously, Ernest Saves Christmas is going to rank high for me as well. But there's a lot of these Christmas movies I'm a sucker for, and there are some that, believe it or not, I have not seen yet. I've not seen Christmas with the Cranks yet.
Me either.
I have not seen any of the three Santa Claus movies
Seen the
with
first
Tim
one.
Allen.
Saw the first one. I saw the first one. It was good.
First one was
And
best.
yeah, there's a bunch that I haven't seen. Yeah, I guess rewatching Christmas Vacation made me appreciate that one again. I just really had forgotten how great this John Hughes is at slapstick kind of humor. But yeah, I guess I'd have to sit down with the list and really work that. I mean, over the last couple of years, I've really been working on my top 10 movies of all time. And I think I can make it pretty good.
What's number one?
Well, of course, Blues Brothers.
I heard a show where they said it wasn't as good, and you were on the show.
Yeah,
You didn't comment at all.
Yeah. Well, they shut my mic down. So,
yeah,
but I mean,
sure, good excuse.
To me, again, it was everything I love in a movie. I like it when they take that kind of when you watch something like the Blues Brothers, they take every detail. It felt like even though it's a long movie, it feels like everything, like when they're in that first scene when they're bringing Jake Blues out to give him his stuff back and send him out to Elwood in the car. It just seemed like every movement, every beat right in there was important. And but then they did so many things in that movie well, from the story to the music, which was outrageous,
right,
to the action, the particular tone of the comedy, and there were so many forms of comedy in it. To me, it was so much of everything. That's why I always put it at the top, and that's tough because for me, as far as the competition, the second movie on that list would be the Dark Knight, the middle chapter of Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, because I never thought that a superhero movie could make me think so much. And of course, Nolan probably is my favorite modern director. And I need to watch Tenet. I've just picked it up. And
what
is it?
Tenet.
Is that
what you wanted to go see in the theater the other day, but it was gone already.
Yeah, and because everything that he does is so cerebral.
You should do Memento.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was the one. That was the one I got introduced to him on,
right.
And that one, yeah, we should do that one because I think I would really like to hear Mandy's comments on that because that movie is a brain buster.
I have never seen it. And have you not already heard my ultimatum?
I've heard your ultimatum. I'm thinking that we'll do The Office. I have no problem with doing The Office.
Okay.
But I don't know how to work it into this particular series because it's a TV series, not a movie.
It doesn't matter.
Your show is called Mandy and Me. As long as Mandy and me are there,
Okay.
Mandy and you can do it.
So,
right, honey, we're pushing for The Office there.
Just one episode every now and then.
Well, we could do a couple of episodes at a time.
You're cutting out what?
We could do a couple episodes at a time.
Okay, yeah.
I'll let you maybe group 3 of them together.
I can't hear you.
Why can't you hear me?
Because it's
staticky. Ben can hear me.
I can see you moving your mouth, but it's staticky.
That's usually what she does when she wants to leave.
No, is that what she does?
We're talking about the only thing I care about talking about, but it's staticky.
It's not on my end.
Yeah.
I can say one more thing, by the way.
Huh?
If you like this movie, look at Frank Capra's Smith Goes to Washington and meet John Doe. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is Jimmy Stewart. He usually does the average guys. This is Mandy and Me. He usually does things of the average guys going against these powerful, rich people, and everything's against them. But the average guys, through their own sincerity and just being good people, rise to the occasion.
Yeah, I actually watched that recently, and thought he was wonderful in it.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very powerful. And there were some other cast members in there I thought were exceptional as well.
Yeah, he's a great director.
Yeah, that was a brilliant movie. And of course, I've loved everything he's done with Hitchcock.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess we probably should wrap this up. And we don't have a movie to announce for next week.
Next week I'm on vacation, but the following week we're back.
Do what now?
Next week I'm on vacation.
Oh, okay.
The following week, whatever, we're back with 2 episodes of The Office.
So in 2 weeks we're going to do some episodes of The Office, and I guess you will pick out which ones they are.
She already has them down.
Dinner Party and Safety Training.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll do those then.
There's actually an episode of The Office called The Ultimatum, if you'd like to throw that on there as well.
All right. Well, text me or something those titles because I don't have anything to write with right here. Mm-hmm. And we'll do a special Office.
Christmas Miracle.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
He sounds thrilled, doesn't he?
No, I was making sure we're not missing.
Ooh, did you see?
What is this? We need more Rankin Bass movies.
Yeah, they're out of business. They made terrible, terrible sequels after that first Rudolph that was so good.
Okay. All right, so we'll wrap it up for tonight. And we'll
God bless us one and all, as Franklin would say.
Hope everyone has a Merry Christmas out there as people go back and, if anybody does, rewatch this. And we will see you all soon. And Merry Christmas, folks.
Merry Christmas, Mandy.